Hey guys, it's Brie and I'm here to give to you my Days of Blood and Starlight review by Laini Taylor. This book, and here is the fine specimen right here in my hands. I loved this so much. I loved it way more than the first book. The story was... This novel, everything was wonderfully tied together and it was really well thought out. Every scene was so precise and I could clearly imagine it. It was just... Basically, if you thought Daughter of Smoke and Bone was good, you need to get onto this one. Pronto. It is so much better than the first one. I couldn't even comprehend it. I gave the first one 4.5 stars because I didn't really feel connected to the characters as I would have liked to. But when I got into this one, that was not a problem. I loved each and every character, well, except for the evil ones, of course. So I gave it 5 stars because, seriously, this book deserves 5, 10, 20. It deserves all the stars. Let's be real. Since this book is the second one, I'm just going to go straight into all the spoilers and all the discussions that I really want to get into about this book. So if you haven't read the first one, or you haven't even read this one, you need to go do that straight away because I do not want to spoil you, so go now, fly. But yeah, I'm about to go into the spoilers, so exit now while you can. Alright, this is the spoilery section, so brace yourself. First off, I found myself really frustrated with Carew this time. I don't know what it was. No, actually I do know what it was. She was so weak in the 3/4 of the way through this book. She was just pathetic. She did not have a backbone like she did in the first book. I was so annoyed with her, but then she started to develop more sassiness and more just fight in her, and I completely was like, you go girl, you friggin' stab him in the throat. That's a little bit violent, but anyway, you know what I'm talking about. When it was in that grappling scene with Tiago and Carew, I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, oh my god, just get him off, get him off. I was like, oh! It was intense. Just And then when it got to the bit where he was like walking through the door and like he was alive and he had those gorge marks down his face, I was like, what the F is going on? I was like, I thought she buried him. I was so confused. I was like, and then it came to the bit where we found out that Ziri was in his body, and I was like, okay, I can handle this. As long as Tiago is dead and gone, I'm okay. But I still felt so bad for Ziri. He was in his true form, and I was like, stay that way. But regardless of my feelings of Ziri killing himself to occupy Tiago's body, I knew that it was a really smart decision on Laini Taylor's part, because obviously without the White Wolf there to lead the Chimera, everything would kind of be lost, and it just had to happen. So kind of have mixed feelings about it, but in the end I'm more leaning towards happiness. Still, oh, Ziri. Actually, on the topic of Ziri, I absolutely loved him. I really liked his like snarkiness when he was captured by Jahil. I loved his banter, and just comebacks were just loving it. And I also really liked the developing interactions with Ziri and Sviva, the I don't know what she's called in Chimera, but you know what I'm talking about. I really liked those two how they kind of had that attraction to one another, like they kept on intersecting with one another's lives, kind of like faintly, but you saw that there was that fondness and protectiveness of one another, I felt. And I really, really like where that is heading. I really, really hope that Laini Taylor explores that a lot more, and that they just become a thing, because Ziri, he really, really needs someone in his life. Lucky Ziri, please. Laini Taylor, please. And also Wrath, I loved him. I thought he was great. I was just waiting for the moment when Karoo would, you know, resurrect him and he'd be there, and I would just be like, oh, he would just, Oh, and I absolutely adored Zuzi and Mick. Their relationship was so cute. I absolutely loved the treasure hunt story and how you got to know how they finally ended up together. It was just an overload of adorableness. It was so cute. I couldn't even. But I also loved the blushing scene in the resurrected room of Karoo's. How they were like talking about like making her a woman and like Mick being a man, and how Ziri didn't know what was happening, but then he finally got it when Karoo blushed, and then everyone blushed. I laughed out loud. That scene was so it was so good. And Susanna's chimera nickname, Nick, I thought that was so awesome. It just described her so well and kind of gave an oomph to her. Essentially, I loved Zuzi and Mick's interactions with the chimera. I thought it was really, really neat to see how they weren't all evil. They were just a balance of good and bad, and I really, really liked that different perspective. And I loved how the humans got along well with the chimera, better than Karoo got along with her own people. I thought that was oddly really interesting. And I loved Izza. Oh, she was so great. I really, really missed her, and I loved how you got to see a lot more of her in this novel. I thought she was great. There was no one else I probably would have rathered to be in that Thurible. She just deserved to be there. Now I'm going to go on to the angels. Lyraz, I think she is so great. I mean, I know a lot of these characters have such a great depth to them, but Lyraz, she really speaks to me. I don't know what it is, but I think it's because I can clearly picture her and really imagine her really, really well in my mind. I don't know if you guys watch the show Vikings. I'll insert a quick picture of who I think Lyraz looks like from that show. It is so striking to me. That girl, she completely embodies who I think Lyraz is. And I loved Hazael. I don't know why he died. Like, come on. He was that warm honey that really binded them all together. And then when he was dead, and like, it was so emotional. I was like, not him. And of course, Akiva, I actually liked him a lot more than I did Karoo in this book. I felt like he was really true to his word, whereas Karoo, I just felt like she was just up and down. But then of course, Karoo, she got back on the right path, and I was like, yes, you do you. Make the world a better place. With Akiva, please get back together. So, yeah. And then you had that whole massive explosive scene in the Angel Capital, in the Sword building. That scene was freaking intense. When everything started exploding, and then like different perspectives of the Far Isles were being brought into the book, and then just everything, whew, goosebumps. And then Jael escaped, and now he's just probably going to go invade the human world, and then shit is going to go down, and And then they're gonna form an alliance, probably a very strained one at that. But I'm looking forward to it. So there you go, guys. That was my book talk on The Days of Blood and Starlight by Laini Taylor. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought of this book down below in the comment section, and I will see you guys soon with another video. Bye.